Hello and welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and the process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I got to sit down with the singer-songwriter-guitarist Ben Youngblood. Without any further ado, here's the interview. So I think we should probably just go right into it right now. So obviously you're a very talented musician.
Is it obvious?
Has anybody heard your music? Yeah, you're pretty talented, man.
I appreciate it.
So how exactly did you get started in this music thing?
Well, when I was about 9 years old, I had several friends that were taking guitar lessons, and I thought it was really cool. And I'd never played an instrument before, but one of my friends taught me the chords and the riff to Sweet Home Alabama, and I kind of picked it up pretty quickly and just kind of fell in love with playing the guitar and begged my parents to get me one. And so for my birthday that year, they got me a guitar, an amp from Harry's Guitar Shop in Raleigh, and I started teaching myself, eventually got lessons, and the rest is just kind of history. I've just stuck with it ever since.
Heard that. Well, obviously you've gotten really into the guitar since after that, but like when you were really young, do you have like an earliest musical memory? What's like the first thing that you remember about music just in your life? It's a hard one to answer, I know.
Right. Consciously, probably being at home and I remember my dad putting on vinyl records in the house of like classic rock from like the 60s and 70s, you know, Jimi Hendrix, the Eagles, Bob Dylan, Santana, a lot of that kind of stuff, and I think that was sort of ingrained in me from a pretty young age, since before I can remember it, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like very much guitar-based music then. So I mean,
definitely.
Yeah, specifically like the Santana thing. Like I can definitely hear that in your music now.
Yeah.
And but you still turn into like your own thing, and it's really nice. But we can't get ahead of ourselves about this kind of music thing. So when you went off to college, you actually went to the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami in Florida. Can you tell a little bit about kind of how your musical education shaped what you are now as a musician?
Yeah. I think before I went to college, I was writing music and I was playing with different groups, and I mean I was taking lessons, but I think I approached it more not so much from a technical standpoint. I was just sort of trying stuff and seeing what worked, and you know, just kind of blindly diving into the whole process of creating. And I think going to the University of Miami and studying music there sort of gave me this whole other perspective of how to approach writing music and perceiving music, you know, from a more technical standpoint. And so I think now I sort of approach creating music from both sides sometimes. You know, sometimes I like to just rely on my intuition, and sometimes I like to, you know, use more of my acquired knowledge of theory and, you know, just what is right, not what's always right, but, you know, like rules, you know, use the rules sometimes, and learning, being aware of those helps me to, you know, sometimes get out of a rut or something.
Yeah. So like with those instructors there, did they really kind of try to help you like with your own personal music, or did they just kind of like basically try to say, you know, this is what the elements of a really good song is? Like what were some like specific things they taught you that really like carried over into your musical career?
Well, I took a wide variety of classes and that focused on a wide variety of musical styles, ranging from, you know, contemporary pop music to 20th and 21st century classical music. And I think more than anything, I was just exposed to a lot of different music that I hadn't been aware of before going to college. And I mean, they taught me a lot about, you know, what kind of devices are useful in the compositional process, and, you know, certain approaches and techniques, which is all great, but I think for me it was more just about, you know, really diving into a lot of different styles, and now I feel like I'm just chasing these sounds in my head, that are there just from hearing all of this stuff and being forced to really analyze and appreciate a lot of that stuff.
The biggest problem in music is like you have these ideas, but they're not always able to get them out. So it sounds like they kind of equipped you with all these kinds of little things and these basically this roadmap of basically how to get the ideas in your head and the creativity out into the world, kind of the way you wanted to do it.
Yeah, well, and I think that should be the goal, and I think I was given a lot of tools, and I think really, it's good to be aware of all of those rules so that you can disregard them.
Yeah. Which kind of goes into the next point, because obviously you're a very talented singer-songwriter, but you're also an incredible guitarist. If nobody's ever heard Ben play the guitar, that's one I'd highly recommend you Google real quick and pull up, because it's fantastic, for real. I'm not just saying that because you're here. I really legitimately love the way you play.
Thank you.
And you've had the opportunity to play in a lot of bands. Specifically, you play in one band that tours all across the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So like one day you're in Florida, one day you're in New York, one day you can be in Nashville. You're all over the place all the time.
Yeah.
How do you kind of find the balance between touring with somebody else's band and doing your own solo stuff? Do you kind of find it hard to try to strike an even flow? Do you kind of put one to the side and do one individually? I don't know how that works in your mind.
I don't either. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Well, I mean, it seems like a lot, really.
It is.
To do that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm trying to find that balance all the time. And I mean, I just started touring with the Collective Bus from Miami, Florida, back in March, and ever since, I mean, we've been on the road all year. It seems like every couple weeks we're out again, and it's tough because when I come home, I'm exhausted from being out on the road, and it's really hard sometimes to find the motivation and energy to put into my own artistry and my own music. But I've been working on my album since I graduated, and I've been working on that with this engineer and co-producer from Miami. His name's Andres Daza. And he's been really great. I mean, he kind of keeps me, moving forward and motivated. And so, I think I'm trying to sort of build a team of people right now that can sort of help hold me accountable and take some of the stress off of just doing it all myself. Although that's kind of, what you got to do.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, like at the indie level is
Yeah.
like the DIY scene, as it's called. It's almost looked down upon that you had other people do other things, with you. But I mean, that's part of the fun of being a musician. It's like collaborating with other people and having their say, kind of going with you, and not necessarily where your ideas are still going out, but you still have somebody that oh, it'd be really cool if I could, collaborate with this person and we could do this kind of thing. I mean, that's part of the fun of playing music, is
Definitely.
being able to share it with other people. And sometimes it's never bad to ask for a little help for a friend, or have somebody there to be able to help you and give you a leg up.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess also I think I just try and do like a little bit every day, even if it's not something huge, but I always try and play guitar every day, and I try to create something original, even if it's not a full song. I'll just sit down and I'll play, and I'll come up with an idea, and I'll record it, and it goes into my massive library of forgotten voice memos that, which has become kind of a bank of useful ideas that I can use to sort of jumpstart a writing process or something, or I'll reach out and I'll try and book a gig, or meet up with someone that I haven't met up with before, or that I haven't met up with in a while, and just try and get out and network some while I'm home, and just kind of, I think right now for me, just trying to become more integrated in the local music scene is really important for me while
Absolutely.
I'm home.
And your most latest single is called "Not Coming Back." And this one has a really cool melody. It's got a really nice vibe. It's really groovy. I don't know if you guys have heard the music, but it's got a lot of vibe to it, and it's a really wonderful song. What was the process of recording that like?
It was a really good time. I recorded it down in Miami, and which I think it kind of has a sort of like tropical Miami kind of sound to it.
I said it had kind of a like a Santana-y vibe with a little bit of like, you can hear that southern, almost like Latin flair inside of it too.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really awesome, yeah.
Yeah, we recorded it at Andre Staza's studio. He's now in this big studio, this really great place called Electric Air Studios, but at the time he was based in his loft, and so it was like, a little more confined, not so many, not so much flexibility with the whole recording process, but we essentially recorded as a live band in the studio. The drummer was playing at the same time that I was playing guitar and our bassist was playing. So we really wanted to go for the feel of like a live rhythm section.
Yeah, that was my next question, is if this was recorded live.
Yeah.
It has that feel to it.
Yeah, the
bassist. It doesn't feel like the chopped up thing or anything like that.
Well, and it was interesting because we wanted the live sort of energy, but we wanted a polished studio sound. And so we recorded the rhythm track sort of live, and then, we went back and did overdubs. We recorded each instrument more individually after the fact to get the exact, right takes and stuff. And then on top of that, we just, layers and layers of guitars and vocals and some, percussion, auxiliary percussion, tambourine, congas, shakers, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I like the guitar solo at the end too. Was that one you had like in your head for a long time too? Like,
no, we kind of worked that out in the studio. I knew I wanted guitar solo stuff like happening in the last chorus, but I kind of wrote it on the spot with Andres next to me, and him being like, no, not quite like that, and oh yeah, dude, let's keep that one in there, and then kind of developing it like that.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about it, it feels like this has a bit of a story to it, and obviously as a musician, you are a form of a storyteller in your music. What was the song about? What was the inspiration behind it?
No, it's cool. It was, this was one of the first songs I ever wrote, and I was like 16, and I think I wrote it after a breakup at the time, and it was just kind of this like sort of on and off kind of relationship for a while. And it was just kind of me like putting my foot down, saying like, I'm not coming back. It's not happening. And but it's kind of interesting because I think over the years it's kind of taken on a wider meaning for me of just sort of like, it doesn't necessarily have to refer to a specific person or a person at all. It's just sort of the idea of like, I'm done with this situation, with this habit, this lifestyle, like, just kind of the idea of putting this thing behind you that wasn't healthy for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the song kind of has that kind of feeling, kind of like that, almost like a catharsis to it too.
Yeah.
It's a really awesome one, man. I really, really enjoy it. We were listening to it before the interview. You can't see over here Mr. Xavier Johnson, formerly from FYI, one of our volunteers. We were listening to it. We were jamming out to it. So
cool.
But yeah, so your new EP is coming out in January.
Yeah.
What's the EP called for people that don't know?
It is called In Bloom.
What was the recording process for the EP like? Like, did you blast it out over a really fast period of time? Was it kind of a more drawn out process?
It was more drawn out.
Okay.
But it was really similar. It was all really similar to the process for Not Coming Back.
Okay.
It all started with a live rhythm section in the studio, and then, re-recording parts and overdubbing a lot of guitars and vocals and other percussion instruments.
Yeah.
And it all happened in that exact same room. In Andres' loft, and it took a while. We started right before I graduated college. We started laying down tracks, and then we didn't finish recording until, I guess, last December.
Hear that?
Yeah. So
it was a
several
little chunk of time.
Several months of recording, but that was also because I moved back to Raleigh in the summer and had to go back down there to finish recording, and then the whole mixing process took a while, and it's a process.
Yeah, absolutely. So Not Coming Back was obviously a song that you had for a while. Were all these songs that you had in this EP, were these ones that you were sitting on and just kind of waiting for the right opportunity, or were these ones that you kind of wrote more recently and just kind of like, this would make a good album?
Not Coming Back was the earliest song that I'd written on the album, and the other 4 kind of came periodically over the next several years, and In Bloom was the most recent song. The title track was the most recent song I'd written, and I wrote it after I decided to make the EP. And so that one was like the latest, But I don't know, it all just seemed to sort of describe the sort of sound that I was going for, and I think each song lives in its own sort of sonic universe in a way, but I think it's still cohesive, but it sort of shows these different sides of my, musical influences up to the point of recording the album.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to hear it.
Thank you.
Honestly, I think it's going to be super, super awesome. So you actually have a show that is devoted to your EP release. I believe it's January 22nd, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be at the Poorhouse in Raleigh. So can you tell everybody kind of what's in store for that show and everything? Like what you're planning on doing, and like who's playing with you, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so yes, January 22nd at the Poorhouse. Doors 8 p.m., show starts at 9 p.m. For my EP release show. It's going to be so much fun. I have my friends in the band Old Cartoons and State of the Secretary opening up
Who are those
the show.
I've never heard of them.
Well, let's see. Old Cartoons, it's interesting. Old Cartoons is comprised of a couple friends and a couple of their friends, but that I went to high school with, and they're great. They're like a fun, psychedelic, indie rock outfit. I just called them an outfit. I just had this conversation with some friends, and they got so annoyed that like they read an article where they called a band an outfit. And
why?
I don't know. I've seen it a million times.
At least they're writing about them,
Yeah, I know, and I don't know. Anyway, I just said it, and I realized it.
You say whatever you want. I always say project for mine. Obviously, State of the
Project.
Secretary.
I've never said the word outfit as a band, and I think because we had this whole conversation, it just came out anyway.
Yeah. I say project just because it's like it's me and like the other guys just
Right.
kind of play live, But
Right.
yeah, you call it whatever you want. Outfit, band,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So Old Cartoons, they're a psychedelic indie rock band, and then State of the Secretary, who is fronted by Mr. Isaac Anderson right here. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, if people want to hear more about like what the show is going to be, like hear more about you specifically, what are your social media tags so people can keep up with what's happening with your EP, your EP release show, and all that?
Well, probably the best branding decision that I've made of my career was changing all of my social media handles to the exact same name, which is like just
makes
everything
thing.
way easier. And it's at the Ben Youngblood. THE Ben Youngblood.
Heard that. You made my job really easy. Instead of having to put up 50,000 little social media tags, I
Yeah.
put up one
Yep.
for everything.
That's right.
That's how you do it. That's
right.
the ticket.
That is what is going to allow me to conquer the world.
Absolutely. Well, you have a hefty social media following, man.
Oh, relatively. To
It's
people
hefty
who-
for indie
who
artists, man.
don't.
It's like when you
Yeah.
got about 2,000 followers on Instagram or something close to that,
Minus
right?
800, yeah.
Okay, so 1,200. It's more than I have, okay? Anyway, Ben, thank you so much for coming here. We really do appreciate it. Before we go, Studio 67 obviously has a movie show. It's hosted by myself. I love film.
Right.
It's all about movie news, and we review movies every single week. And I ask all of my guests before we leave, what is your favorite movie?
Wow, I really put a lot of thought into this last night as I was walking my dog.
Okay.
And really struggled. But the movie that kept coming up in my mind is The Big Lebowski.
Ooh, that's a good one. Why is that your favorite?
Just I think the character of the dude is just so iconic. You know, just his whole mindset of how he goes through life and deals with these, you know, obstacles that keep appearing in front of him. It's just so entertaining, and the lines in the movie, the dialogue, it's just, you know, it's classic.
Thanks to Ben Youngblood for sitting down with me and talking all about his music. If you guys want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashComCollege, or you can find us on Instagram at Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.